I am a co-chair of the National Taskforce with Eli Kohanim, Luke Moon, and Victoria Coates. My participation in this event is as co-chair of the National Taskforce. In my personal capacity, the views I express here or in my individual capacity does not reflect those of the President of the government of the United States of America or its agencies. I was advised to repeat that disclaimer. Voluntarily. We are seeing a historic, and I know I'm preaching to the choir, rise in anti-Semitism in America. Things we never thought we would see. Death threats to Jewish schools and students, anti-Semitism in our Congress and universities. After October 7th, nearly 2,000 pro-Hamas rallies, some of which had hundreds of thousands. Our director, Sarah Carter, was working for Fox News at that time, and she relayed one rally she was handling in New York City. Sarah Carter, for those that know her, was on Fox News in Afghanistan and in other places of war, and she was just as afraid in the cities of New York, covering what was happening. Calls for genocide against Jewish people acceptable by presidents of Ivy League universities, the murder of 2 Israeli embassy staff just down the street. And as a result of the historic rise of anti-Semitism, we launched the National Taskforce to monitor and combat anti-Semitism in order to coalesce Christian, Jewish, and institutional organizations and amplify our voice and have a coalesced voice. Our original focus was around the unholy alliance between radical progressive leftists and Islamists who hate Judeo-Christian values that have been the foundation of our nation since its inception. Those with different endgames, like Queers for Palestine, but yet bent on the destruction of Israel. But it's not only the destruction of Israel, it's also the destruction of America and the Western way of life. But now we're seeing a very troubling development arise, anti-Semitic attacks from within our own ranks, from the MAGA movement, leaders like Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, and others. We, as a task force, have called out these forces on the right who have demonized the state of Israel and the Jewish people. It's incumbent of us, wherever anti-Semitism is found, that it is in fact called out and held accountable. These acts of anti-Semitism are now the new normal for America. We are living in the eve of World War II before the Holocaust. The dimensions are enormous and incomprehensible. We need to adopt zero tolerance against this new wave of anti-Semitism. As I said before, anti-Semitism is not just anti-Jewish, it is anti-Christian, anti-American, and anti-Western way of value. Carlson echoed sentiment sympathetic to Iran, Qatar, Russia. He said Americans who serve in the Israeli Defense Force should lose their U.S. citizenship because of disloyalty, that Israel persecutes Christians, that Christians are better off in Qatar than Israel, that Netanyahu controls President Trump, and those of you that know him, nobody controls President Donald J. Trump. Carlson stated that Christian Zionism is Christian heresy, and that those that are here that are Christian, calling themselves Christian Zionists, are seized by a brain virus, and that he dislikes them more than anyone else. Christian Zionism is a deep conviction that the Jewish people have a biblical covenant with the land of Israel, that the modern state of Israel fulfills this biblical prophecy, and that we stand and support Israel biblically, spiritually, as the people of God. The National Task Force strategy is to unite our movement while marginalizing those on the right who have demonized the state of Israel. President Trump said, anti-Semitism has no place in the MAGA movement or in the Republican Party. We don't need them, and I don't think we need people like them. Tucker has lost his way. You've heard what the president has said. We intentionally chose this day, the weekend of the rededication of our nation back to God, which was not only a historic event, but a prophetic event in the history of our nation. We're celebrating the 250th anniversary. According to Hebrew scholars, 50 represents Jubilee. So this is 5 times 50. I majored in math in undergrad. So it's a super jubilee. The Old Testament Jubilee was where debts were canceled, debtors were set free, people returned back to their land. On the Liberty Bell, it says, proclaim liberty throughout the land unto all the inhabitants thereof. The Jewish people proclaimed liberty, Jubilee by the sounding of the shofar. And Jubilee in Hebrew is shofar. It's not liberty, it's not freedom, it's proclamation. It is time when there's proclamation of anti-Semitism, anti-Israel sentiment, that the shofar of those voices resound against this to declare that no, the U.S. Israel alliance is one of the most important alliances, and that we will stand and defend the Jewish people and the nation of Israel as Americans. There's a battle of voices in America. There's a sound, a deafening vitriol of anti-Semitism, anti-Zionism, but this task force will amplify the voice and the sound of truth and godliness. Pastors during our independence regularly drew a parallel between Israel's deliverance from bondage in Egypt and the American colonies seeking freedom from the tyranny of England. And they would preach out of Exodus, where Moses told Pharaoh, let my people go, that they may worship the Lord. Pharaoh rose with anti-Semitism, persecuting, torturing, and oppressing the Jewish people. There are Pharaoh spirits rising in America on the right and on the left. And on this rededication 250th anniversary, we declare to every single anti-Semitic Pharaoh spirit, let my people go, that they may worship the Lord. Our nation supports Israel and the Jewish people now more important than ever. U.S. must never turn its back on the Jewish people. We must never waver in our unequivocal support of Israel and the Jewish people. So together, we are a Nestor movement, Christians, Jewish leadership, and conservative leaders together facing this wave of Hamans arising in America. Our National Taskforce will fight anti-Semitism on the right or the left, like Esther, standing against anti-Semites to reverse every Haman decree in our nation. We are here on behalf of millions of Christians, conservatives, and Jewish people saying, Israel and Jewish people, you are not alone. And as Christians, we will not keep silent, and we decree and declare that the nation of Israel that God sovereignly brought back in the land lives now and forevermore.